Okay, so we're moving on to 7.2, so that means we get some new rules. Modus ponens, modus tollens, hypothetical syllogism, disjunctive syllogism, those should be very familiar to you. And now we're going to have constructive dilemma, simplification, conjunction, and addition. For the most part, these are pretty straightforward. Constructive dilemma is a little tricky. So you have if P then Q, then you have a dot, then you have if R then S. And then you have to have the antecedents with a wedge between it. By the way, this all has to be exactly the same. You have to have a conditional, you have to have a dot, you have to have a conditional, you have to have a wedge here. And then given that, if you get P or R, then you can derive if Q or S. Okay? So just remember that pattern with that one. Simplification is with a conjunction. So we know the only time it's ever going to be true is when they're both true. So whenever you have anything brought together with a dot, you know you can simplify one of them out and it's going to be true. Conjunction, same thing. As I've said before, you know each one of these lines is true. So we know P is true, we know Q is true, and if you put them together like this with a dot between them, it's still true. And addition, this is one that usually makes students scream, but I promise you it does work. So P we know is true, which means we can literally add anything we want to it. Because you guys remember with disjunction, the only time it's ever made false is when they're both false. So as long as P is true, you can add anything you want. So yes, if you want to do something like that, you can add it on, and you know it's okay. Or something like that, and you want to keep on going, you want to add another one, X to Y, keep going, it doesn't matter. By the way, you'd have to put brackets around that. Okay, you can do it. As a rule, we only add what we need, but technically you can add anything you want as long as you have a line that's by itself and you know it's true. Okay, let's get started with the first part. Again, took a picture of the book. Okay, so like the first one here, let's ask ourselves, what do they want? So they want us to use simplification. So let's go look at simplification. Okay, simplification only works with a dot. So line 1, not an option. Line 2, yes, that one is an option. Line 3, not an option. Okay, simplification, you drop down this first one. So that's exactly what we'll do. We can take the B and we can pull it out right there, and we can use line 2. And that is literally the only thing we can do with those lines. Okay? Second one, they want us to use CD. Okay, they want us to use this one right there. So we know we're going to have a conditional with a dot between it, and then we're going to have a wedge. Okay, conditional with a dot between it, line 1, looking promising. Line 2, not going to work. It has a wedge between it. Not an option. Okay, so we're going to have to use line 1 and line 3 because it's got the wedge between it. So you have an N or F, N or F, and that will give us what we want. So we're going to get T or Q. And we're going to use line 1 and line 3. Okay, number 3, they want us to use conjunction. Alright, let's go remind ourselves what conjunction is. Clean this up a little bit. Okay, so we got conjunction. So you can take two separate lines, as long as you know that they are true separately, and you can combine them with a dot. Okay, well, they gave us 2 lines, so we'll just combine those 2 with the dot, and we'll tell them that we use 1 and 2. Okay, now 4, they want us to add. Okay, what do you want to add? I don't care. You can do that for all I care. It really doesn't matter, because H is true. We already know that. So it doesn't matter what you add onto it. H is true. Overall, the statement's going to be true. So this time, you're just adding from line 1. You don't need to have 2 lines. We just use that one line. Same thing with the first one over here. We just use this line right here. So we just put 1. Okay, 5. Okay, they want us to simplify again. Okay, we've done this before. We know we need a dot. Okay, so they're going to try to make this tricky for us. Now the key is the dot has to be the main operator. So looking at line 1, can we simplify? Yeah, we can, because R and then N or K, so the dot is the main operator. Alright, but let's look at line 2. So line 2, the main operator here is actually the wedge, so not an option. Okay, line 3, main operator, well, it's actually going to be the horseshoe. So we can't simplify, okay? You can't take the G out of here, you can't take the T out of there, because those are combined together with that right there, with our disjunction, okay? It's got to be the main operator. That is the only time it's going to work. Okay, let's get rid of this mess so you guys can see it. Okay, so that's why line 1 is going to work, not going to work, and not going to work, because the main operator's not a dot. Okay, so what are we going to simplify? We're going to do exactly what we did before. We're going to take this first one right here, and we'll just drop it down, and we use line 1 to simplify. Okay, obviously they're going to get a little tougher, but just use the same methods I do. Ask yourself, what do they want us to do? And then ask yourself, which ones can you use to get there? Okay, good luck.